Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Girls Gotta Talk podcast. Streaming platforms, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, anywhere you stream your podcast, or we are here on YouTube, Girls Gotta Talk podcast. You could come subscribe, join the fam over here. I feel like I say podcast really weird, but it is what it is. Whatever. Anyways, this episode I kind of got from asking the Girls Gotta Talk podcast Instagram, like what episodes or like what you would like me to talk about in an episode, because part of me was kind of running out of ideas. Part of me really needed to like plan some stuff, and I just didn't know what to talk about. And I thought maybe asking the Instagram would get me some ideas. I did get some ideas. So this is part of like from an answer that I'd got from that. And I was like, oh, perfect. So to introduce myself, if you're new, my name's Alyssa. I am 28 years old. I am the oldest out of me and my two brothers. I have a 3-year-old son. He'll actually be turning 3 tomorrow from when I'm recording this. This is also the second episode I've recorded today, so I've been kind of ahead of the game lately, and I've been very proud of myself. But this podcast is definitely something that was so far out of my comfort zone. I'm so excited that I actually started it. I had wanted to start a podcast for the longest time. Very excited that it started. Proud of myself for starting it. I rebranded it. If you don't know, this wasn't always Girls Gotta Talk podcast. Took it over, rebranded it. Now it is mine, and I'm super excited. I've been loving doing this for the past, it's been probably a year and a half now. Oh my God. I'm pretty sure it's been this year or this month, actually in a few days, would mark a year and a half of doing this. And I think it's been so crazy. Definitely been a wild ride. Took some breaks, took weeks off, took months off. It's been definitely a ride, and I've loved every single minute of it. But I figured with those little things out in the open, out on the internet, I feel like I could talk about, part of me wants to say deeper parts of myself, things some people might know, but some people might not know. I feel like some of these are things I don't necessarily like just bring up to people. I feel like some of these things you kind of learn about me the longer you're friends with me, if that makes sense. Sometimes, like, I know like some of these things people just pick up on, other times it could come up in conversation and I'll just mention it, but I feel like it's just something I could definitely just easily talk about. First thing being, I feel like this gets very controversial because when I say this to people, they're like, "What? Like what?" I I don't even know how to say it. I hate eating at restaurants. I hate restaurants, which is so weird because the way this gets controversial is I would rather do takeout, where a lot of people are like, no, like I like eating food fresh, like right when it comes out, not putting it in a bag and taking it home and letting it get soggy or letting it get kind of cold, like not fresh out of wherever honestly it's coming from, whatever you're eating. I do not like eating at restaurants. I will refuse if I can, if I have to. Eating in a restaurant just makes me anxious. It makes me, I don't like it. I get kind of uncomfortable, especially if it's a super busy restaurant. Like I said, I'd much rather do takeout. I'd much rather eat anywhere. Honestly, specifically, especially in my own home, but like say we do takeout and eat in like a park, like a picnic type vibe. I feel like eating anywhere except for in a restaurant is my kind of vibe. I don't know what it is. Eating in a restaurant makes me super anxious. Like, I've definitely grown up and gone to restaurants with my family and literally, like, sat there and got nothing because of the fact that I'm on the inside super anxious that it's making me sometimes super nauseous. So then part of me is like, I really just want to leave. The thought of being nauseous and like the feeling of being nauseous also makes me very anxious. So it just makes it worse. So I don't even think about food. I will just straight up just sit there and not eat anything. I'll literally just get a drink. And normally just getting that drink is like my emotional support drink, if you will. I usually would bring a drink with me anywhere. That'd be like my support water bottle type of thing. If I was going on a drive on a car ride, I would usually stop somewhere, whether it be a gas station, CVS, whatever. If I take it from home, I'll bring a water, I'll bring a soda, like I'll bring something with me. 9 times out of 10, I probably won't even open the drink. Just having it with me gives me that kind of like calmness. It's so hard to explain because I don't even understand it myself, but it brings me some sense of like calmness knowing that I have it with me. If that just probably doesn't even make sense, but I don't know. I just definitely refuse and hate eating at restaurants. I don't. That's just how I am. That's how I've been. I don't know. I don't know how to get over it. I don't know how to push myself out of it because at that point it's just like a little anxious anxiety feeling. But I don't know what to do either beforehand or while I'm at the restaurant to kind of distract myself to make it okay that we're sitting and eating there. But granted, this doesn't happen all the time. Sometimes I will go to a place and be perfectly fine. I'll eat whatever. Like, I've been fine at places. It's just, it's really hit or miss for me. I could totally pull up to a place thinking I'm going to be totally fine. And then next thing you know, I get inside, we sit down, and I'm like, yeah, no, I'm not. I'm not eating. I'm good. I'll wait till later. It's one of those things where I could literally leave that place and be starving because I know I left. So it kind of calms me down to a fact that now I'm actually hungry. Now I'm getting my appetite back. Now I want food. Then I end up stopping somewhere else for food or going home and making something, which to myself gets super annoying, but I just don't know how to help it otherwise. I don't know. The next thing that I had was I am a type of person that I need to sit with a pen and paper to plan things out. I need to see things clearly. I need it out on paper to fully plan anything. For me, my memory, I feel like I've mentioned it a million times, especially if you know me and talk to me, if you've ever talked to me, probably at least once. My memory is awful. My memory is trash. I'm I don't know, like my memory is so bad. I could literally do something and forget about it 5 minutes later and be like, "Oh my god, yeah, I was just doing that. I totally forgot." It's so bad. Like, so don't talk to me and have me planning things inside my head. I feel like it's not going to go well for me. I feel like I'll easily forget what we discussed or what I've thought about during either discussion or planning or whatever. And it's going to stress me out. I know it's going to stress me out because I feel like I'm going to forget little things or forget something I mentioned or forget something we had planned that was going to happen. And I noticed this because today, actually, we had a birthday party for my son. So the other day, a couple days ago, I was like trying to plan who was going to be coming, how many people we had, how many kids were going, how much food I was going to need, how much like drinks we were going to need. We went to some arcade place. We did like arcade and then like food, cupcakes, all that stuff. So I needed to know how many like game cards I would need depending on who was going and if I needed to order extra because only like so much came like in a bundle. For me, like that was just too much to process in my head. I literally pulled out a piece of pen and paper and wrote down like a whole list of people, list of kids, was trying to figure out how much people it was in total food wise, how much pizza like feeds X amount of people and how many I would need based on what like, it was just so complicated. I feel like I made it more complicated than it probably needed to be, but it was just so complicated. But having that piece of paper in front of me and physically seeing everything written out and written down, I feel like kind of made it easier, but at the same time, like it just looked super crazy. And math, I can tell you, is not my strong suit. So trying to sit there and divvy up food and people and cupcake wise and trying to, yeah, definitely wasn't the best, but we figured out the party went good. So that's all done. That was crazy, but we made it through. The next thing that I have is gonna be, I don't really know what to call it. It's 100% undiagnosed. I've never actually been diagnosed with anxiety of any like type, kind, whatever, but I feel like I get really bad what I'm going to call social anxiety. Um if I'm in a group of people or in a large crowd, I get very anxious, I get very nervous. Um that kind of what I think happens. But like the first thing I said was eating at restaurants. Like I just won't eat. I feel like I said, if the restaurant's really busy, like I just get very nervous and anxious and kind of just what do I want to call it? Kind of just like I don't want to say unwell. I just get very, I don't know. I feel like I'm trying to look for a word, but I don't know the word I'm looking for. I feel like depending on where I'm at, I start looking for exits. I need to know where exits are. There's different things. I don't know if this is actually like social anxiety of some kind, but I feel like depending on where I'm sitting, I can't sit with my back where everything's like behind me. I need to be able to see everything in front of me. I used to do that in school when we were in the cafeteria at lunch. Like I couldn't sit where we sat. Like we sat like almost the same table every day, the group of friends that I had. And I feel like I couldn't sit on the side of the table where like the whole cafeteria was behind me. I needed to sit on the other side so I can literally see the whole cafeteria. I don't like everything being behind me. Sometimes it depends on like how the restaurant is shaped out or wherever I am is shaped out. I usually don't like sitting when the door is behind me. I like to see the door and like people coming in and out. I don't know what it is. I feel like I sound crazy talking about this like this, but that's just how I am. I feel like I need to know exits. I feel like I need to know how to get outside. I sometimes when I'm sitting in a place and I get super anxious, like sometimes like I said I start to feel nauseous and at that point like I just need to get up. Sometimes I just need to step outside, get some fresh air, but I like to look sometimes for like closest places for me to go, if that makes sense. A place to be like alone, even if it's just for a minute. I don't know if it's like panic attack type situation sometimes, but I just need to be able to like step away to a place where it's not so crowded. I just don't do well with crowds and a large group of people. Like I just can't, I can't do it. It stresses me out. It freaks me out. It kind of scares me a little bit. That is just 100% not my vibe. The next thing is I'm such a it's not what you say, it's how you say it type of person. I feel like that could sound really cliche, but I am a type of person where I don't want to say like if you yell at me, but like yell at me type of way, like I'll just completely shut down. I'm a type of person that will give you blank face, will kind of just like stare at you, I guess. But at the same time, like I'm also a type of person that will just shut down and kind of take it all in. I sit there and I overthink. I think in general. I don't know, like sometimes it could be the most like innocent type of thing ever, but I feel like obviously a lot of things are taken differently depending on tone of voice and how you say things. So I don't know, like I'm such like in any conversation, it needs to be like, I'm not saying like talk to me like I'm a child, but I don't know. I'm a very sensitive person. Like, we'll put it like that. I'm a very sensitive person, so a lot of things are taken like to heart. And yeah, that's another thing I have, is I take a lot to heart. I don't know, like some things that you should just probably like brush off or shouldn't really affect you definitely affect me a lot of the time. But that's like another, for me, for some reason, is like, it is what it is. I know myself and I know I'm going to take it to heart. So whether or not I tell myself I should or I shouldn't for a quick minute, I'm going to probably overthink it and take it to heart. And then either later or like the next day or whatever, I'm going to be like, oh yeah, never mind. Like, that was whatever. Like, I shouldn't have taken it so heavily, but I know I'm going to. The next thing that I had was, depending on the person, it does take me, I don't want to say like it takes me a long time to open up. Obviously, with some things, like, I will drag out like talking about some things. I feel like at the same time, if you sit here and ask me a question, like, I try to be an open book and just answer whatever. I feel like it gets a lot out there. Obviously, you'll get to know someone quicker and better that way. I like to put a lot out on the table in that sort of aspect. Um, Personal things, sometimes it does take me a lot to open up. You might have to crack a little bit of a shell to get to me and into like deeper parts of life, I guess you could say. Um, I don't know, but I feel like at the same time, if we're sitting and having a conversation and you're going to ask questions about life or like really anything in general, I like to just be like open and honest and just, like I said, have it all out there. I feel like that just opens up a lot. It lets you know about a person. It lets you know about, I don't know, some background maybe. Um, you just get to know people on a deeper level. Obviously, that also depends, like I said, on the person. Some people you just don't want into that part of your life, which is completely understandable, completely okay. Other people who like you're a little more close to, you might want to open up. You either don't know how or don't know if you really want to. And then sometimes it could just easily come out because the person's like super easy to talk to. At the same time, I feel like sometimes people just know things about me and I'm like, yeah, sorry, like that's probably TMI and that's probably too much. You probably didn't want to know, but like you just kind of found out. Like you just kind of in this conversation, I just kind of mentioned it. I don't know. I definitely have some people who I'm just like, yeah, like it's literally like you go to them for like anything, everything situation. So they know probably a little more than maybe they should. But I feel like at that point, it is what it is. Part of me really doesn't care. Obviously, depending on what I've said or told, but most of the time, I just don't. I don't really care too much. Um, Another thing about me, I feel like I've said it a lot lately. I am such an introverted person. I am a type of person that needs like I need my alone time. I strive off of having time to like recoup, reset myself, have some alone time. I'm not a type of person that wants to go out all the time. I'm not a type of person that, I don't know, sometimes I will say like I don't want to be, I don't even want to say like with people all the time, but like I'd rather just have chill time periods every now and then. Like I said, would rather eat dinner at my house. I'd rather not be at a restaurant all the time. I'd rather have sit on the couch and relax, watch movies type of nights rather than like out and about at either like parties or like I still say like restaurants, like meeting up with people all the time, whether it be like friends, family, like work people, whether it's like drinks or food or whatever. I don't know. A lot of the time, I really would just rather stay low key, casual, nothing too fancy, nothing too crazy. I'm really not that type of person. And sometimes, even like thinking about instances like that, or like going out and meeting people and trying to get ready and trying to just get there, like it really, makes me very anxious and stresses me out that at one point, like, I'm really like, I'd rather not. Like, that is definitely something if I, like, end up doing anything is kind of something out of my comfort zone, which is really sad because it's not even too crazy of a thing, but I just am a very, like, in my shell, in my home, introverted. I'm friends who I'm friends with and really, like, not a lot more type of person. So there's that. Um, Another thing I have is I too I do tend to distance myself. I definitely know that about myself. I feel like I should have like a PSA, like tell people don't take it personally. It's just me and what I do. I don't know why. Like sometimes I just get very in my kind of in my own head, but at the same time, like I just end up in my shell. I will distance. I will stop talking to people for honestly, I wouldn't even say longer than like a day really, but I just end up being so wrapped up with myself that I kind of block out the world. I haven't really found why I do this or like maybe triggers or something that'll get me to do this, but I feel like it just kind of happens. I don't know if that's like what I should say. Like, obviously, if I feel like it's happening, I can stop myself and not try to just block out everyone in the world. But I do realize that I do distance myself. Sometimes when I feel uncomfortable, sometimes obviously when I'm anxious, I really just like to be by myself and like calm, casual situations. But yeah, definitely not one of my best things, but I know myself and I know I do it. So at least I'm aware of stuff like that. The last thing that I have is music is what I like to call my safe space. I always have to have my headphones on me. I like to have them in my purse literally at all times. I'm always making sure they're charged. I hate when my AirPods are dead. I will be listening to music 95% of the time. I'm the type of person who wants music like loud. I'll have my headphones pretty loud for one, should probably have them in their ears. Music in my car when I'm driving is at a pretty decent volume. I don't know, like I just get so into music when I need it. I need it as a background thing sometimes. I like to have it if I'm like cleaning, or I used to try to have it on when I was doing homework. Sometimes I get very distracted and it takes me a while to go and like start doing something because I'm so wrapped up in music or like a song or like a podcast or anything. But I don't know, like it's just one of those things I need. It's either music or I know if like sometimes I'm behind on listening to podcast episodes, I'll pop my headphones in, kind of do some stuff. I try not to do a lot of, I don't know, anything that'll take me away from what I'm listening to, especially if it's a podcast. If it's music, like it is what it is. But like sometimes with like a podcast, I'm like, oh, I totally missed what they just said. Or like I'll focus on the laundry or the cleaning or something that I'm just like, I'm not really listening to this podcast. I want to turn it off because obviously I want to be like into it and listening and like know what's going on. But that, or sometimes I always, again, 95% of the time will have a YouTube video on in the background, whether it's just background noise or I'm like actually sitting and watching it. I feel like I'm a type of person where if I'm eating most of the time, I need to have something on. So I'll end up like putting on a movie or most of the time a YouTube video, just kind of watching that as I eat. It's really bad, but as I'm sitting at home and eating, I feel like sometimes I need something on if I'm either not with or talking to someone. But I don't know. That's just how I am with that. I'm definitely one of those people that like need something on as I'm eating, which might be really weird, but I feel like I've heard other people doing that, so I'm not one of the odd ones out with that stuff. But that is all I have for this episode. I love you guys so much. I thank you guys so much for listening, and I'll see you next week back with a brand new episode. Bye.